As soon as I start, it's gonna fucking air compressor's gonna go off. What's that? Yeah. Oh,
All
you
right.
gotta do something real quick. Go for it. Finish what you're doing. Get that shit done. I'll start with the.
Hang it.
I'll address the chat. Why don't we just run through it real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Let
I'll
me try.
just
I'm gonna have to turn your levels down a little bit here.
too loud again. That's the last thing anybody's ever said. What's up, everybody? Chad here from Martin Brothers. Going to give you a quick update on our '79 Mustang project. Basically, we've got the chassis in K-Dub stall here, and he's removed the floor from the entire car. So this particular chassis is a Roadster Shop fast track chassis for a Mustang platform. It's not their spec chassis, which would be a direct bolt-on. This one requires the entire floor to be cut out of the car, and then you basically use from rocker to rocker and drop the body shell on, and then rebuild your floor from there. So they've set this whole thing up where they put the engine in the right place for us. It's got all of their suspension and geometry on it. Gave us provisions for how to do the exhaust. It was really helpful. They've helped us out quite a bit on this one. But yeah, Caleb spent a good part of yesterday cutting the entire floor, or what was remaining of the floor, out of this thing, and getting it to where it could drop on to this chassis. If you look in the front here, they've got the front of the frame horn notched out here, so you just trim out and leave the remaining section of that sub rail, and when you set the body on, you'll be able to put a bolt right through here and lock that down. So that's kind of how you can position it. It helps you position the body forward and back.
Which is pretty badass because it looks like it dropped right down on there.
Yeah, I mean, we set it down. He got his exact measurements that he needed. We trimmed a little bit more, and then yeah, it dropped basically right over it.
Because this is the one we had scanned, right? We had the bottom of
No,
this one.
no,
This one wasn't.
they already had this platform in, so we
Okay.
didn't have to have them scan this car. But we have had them scan other cars in the past, and usually the data is so good that when we get it, it goes right on. So
Yeah,
it's
it's pretty
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, when you're looking at, like, hey, I'm going to do all these modifications to the chassis that exists in the car, or do I do a frame? I mean, the amount of time and labor that they save you, I mean, almost it pays for itself. So why even mess around with chassis when they pretty much got it on lock? Especially when they can position the motor for you ahead of time, and all you got to do is set that thing in. It just gets you to where you can start building the car right away, and you don't have to mess with a bunch of stuff to make it all work. But we've got a 7.3 Godzilla motor from Covert Ford in Austin here. Started with that platform. We put a mast cam, mast heads, Holly intake, Holly front runner, and Holly oil pan on it. And made it into a T56 Magnum from Bowler Transmission. And then you can see Adam's come in and done the initial parts of our exhaust. The car's going to end up being a twin turbo, so we've got a lot of packaging, engineering stuff we've got to do up front to get that all housed before we can connect the rest of the exhaust. But for the most part, from the transmission to where the gas tank is right now, has all been figured out, and that'll help K-Dub when he starts building the floors. It's all 3-inch X-pipe, Borla mufflers, stainless steel tubing from Tycon, or Stainless Brothers.
I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I haven't heard one of these engines yet, so I don't know what it sounds like, but
Especially, I don't, I'm sure there's one out there, but twin turbo 7.3, it
yeah.
should be pretty exciting.
And when you talk about a Mustang, I mean,
This thing's
like in
tiny.
my childhood, all Mustangs had this sound. You could tell when one was coming
Yeah.
down the street. So
Oh yeah.
usually Flowmasters were on it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it seems like every Mustang sounded the same. We're super excited to do this. We're used to doing cars from the 50s and 60s, and this bumps us up a couple decades. So,
And
getting in.
this is a 79, right?
Yeah, this is a '79. It's a legit pace car. We've got footage of it that we can roll to prove that. It was the perfect car to do what we're doing with, sacrificing the floors. And the car actually has quite a bit of rust in areas that, are common. The whole entire sunroof has been rotted out. We're going to actually make a whole new skin for the roof and just delete that completely. But if you look on the sides of the body too, there was a plastic body side molding that was on these cars. And you can see everywhere it is just trapped dirt and has been rusted. So we're going to need to remake all these sections. There's not a lot of body panels available for these cars, especially with how popular they kind of are. We've got a custom set of wheels that we're working with Revo Forged on. So I think it's a 335 3019 rear tire, and then a 18x9 front tire.
Thought we were going to run these gunnies on it.
No, no.
You don't think
they won't last? They won't last very long.
You don't think the gunnies could hold 1,200 horsepower?
No, I don't think so. I think that's.
Is this a? Oh, I thought that was. It almost looks like it's new, but that's the original.
No, I mean that was like the best part of the car. I think that and the hood are the best two pieces. The rest of it there was kind of rust everywhere. There's some damage to this area here, where the gas door is. This will all be remade, and we're going to delete the gas door here and move it to the back of the car. You know, with the wider wheels and tires that are going to be on it, we'll probably do some smaller body flares on it.
Yeah. You can keep going. You can barely hear that.
Okay.
We're talking about the compressor in the background. It used to be when we were filming.
Yeah.
Or when y'all were filming.
Usually every time Joe goes to talk, air compressor kicks on. So that's Joe's nemesis over there. But apparently it doesn't like any of us. But that's the dryer for the compressor.
Yeah, you can see the holes over here pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. I mean,
there'd be really no reason to even try and fix that, right?
Yeah, and I don't know.
Unless the client just needed to have a sunroof.
Yeah, and our client Ricky, he's super open to a lot of our ideas, and I mean,
he's already named it Foxzilla.
That's right. Yeah, he wants to go with that name. So the car has been dubbed that by him, I guess. So we'll just run with it.
You can kind of. This is an old door panel over here, right?
This is one of the doors. We got one here that we can see easier. So this door panel, you can see the damage that was done by having that body side molding on there, and it's just trapped so much dirt over the years and just sat there and got wet and rusted all the way through. So as I was saying before, you can't really find body panels for these. So what we ended up doing was we got a later model a set of doors. It was the only ones we could find. And the internals of the later model doors are different than the early model, where the handles are and the window cranks and stuff. So rather than do a bunch of work to the internals, I just had K-Dub remove the outer skin and take the outer skin from the other door and put it on this door. So you can see where he's cut up here and sectioned this new piece in. A big difference, though, on the outside skin, I mean, everything is really the same, but on the later models, for some reason, the body lines just weren't quite as crisp and clean as like the 79s were. So there's a lot of sharpness here that was gone. So before K-Dub fixtured this to this door, he actually ran it through the Pullmax. He made a set of dies and ran this through to get these body lines crisped up before he fastens this on for good. So we'll leave it like this for now until he gets all the body panels back on the car and we get everything fitted, in case we have to shift this around and line things up a little bit better. But for the most part, this is ready to roll. So he's just got to fold the skin over and weld up these small sections here and here. And that's
and why did we need to swap the internals so badly? What was the deal with
well, so like on the internals here, and I can lift this door up and you can kind of see, but inside here, there's differences, like where there was a door lock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think they moved it up here on the later models. And then down here is where the interior release handle is on the 79. So all of this stuff on the inside is relocated in different places. So you'd have to like cut, move all this stuff. It's easier just to take the skin off the other one and put it on this one. And the door bracing is different from model to model, which, you know, that side impact brace that's in there, I mean, that doesn't really matter, but there's just real subtle differences between old and new Mustangs. I think these came off of an 89, the outer skins. But, you know, when you're talking about doing body work to a car and paint work, you know, if you've got like the 89 doors on the 79 quarters and fenders, those body lines are going to be super sharp and these are going to be washed out. So they're going to have to use a lot of body work to make them all match, where we just can fix it with the Pullmax now.
Yeah.
And he had to make Pullmax dies anyway to do all the rest of the body lines that we're going to be fixing the rust repair on.
I think it's still over here in the Pullmax.
Oh yeah, it actually is.
So he fabricated this die from scratch to match the body line, right?
So what he did is he started with what it was a paper pattern of the profile of that body line, and then transferred that to 2 pieces of 1/4-inch metal, and then welded them to our bar stock, and that became the die. So it's a male and female.
And now he can transfer that pattern to every panel that needs to be made on the car, so we make sure it's consistent. Right?
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking about a car that had like urethane bumpers and front end pieces. You know, the amount of work it takes to get some of those repaired. We're looking at like we might as well build this out of steel or aluminum, and that requires a Pullmax die because we'll be able to punch those in and have, you know, a solid fascia on the front and rear of the car. Now, I've been doing a lot of research on these, and I was looking at a lot of pictures, and from what I can tell, a lot of those rear bumpers, they're like urethane. When you look at them from the back, it seems like from corner to corner, they just dip in the center and there's nothing really supporting them. So I think over the years, being in the sun and the elements, all that plastic just starts to sag down. So we're going to hit this back up and try to use as much metal as we can this time around. To do this, you know, if a guy was to cut this section off of an existing door and splice this one in here, you're going to have a giant weld seam in here that you're going to have to metal finish out, potentially warp the door pretty bad. Whereas we can remove the door skin, and now all he's got to weld is up here and over there, and fold the edges down, and there's a couple of spot welds on the inner skin that he had to drill out, and he'll just re-weld that. And that way you're not throwing that heat all the way across that whole door panel.
Yeah.
And spend hours metal finishing something back out that really doesn't need to be done if you do it like this.
Heat is bad, right?
Welding.
Yeah, welding heat is bad.
Yeah.
Man, this engine is so big. Have y'all decided what you're going to do with the hood yet?
Really,
it's
the car.
Kind of a work in progress.
Yeah, and really the car is actually going to have, you know, just factory vibes. We're not going to try to like redesign the whole car. You know, we may accentuate a couple pieces of it, make the wing a little bit bigger, or raise the scoop up a little bit more. As of right now, the stock scoop will just skate over the top of this, but once we get it all mocked up and put the sheet metal back on it, we'll see exactly how close it is, and if it's too close, we'll just...
I think it would be pretty sick to leave it all stock, you know?
Yeah.
That way you really, I don't know. It's kind of like it's a sleeper, but once you hear it, you'll know it's not a sleeper.
Ultimately, it's just going to look like a slam version of what was stock.
How much lower is this than the, you know?
I couldn't tell you. It's pretty damn low. I mean, when you stand next to it, it's pretty damn low. Yeah. And I think that's one of the main differences in their 2 chassis platforms from Roadster Shop is this fast track platform get your car to sit a little bit lower than the spec one does.
That really pisses off the guy that's making the exhaust.
Well, I mean, this route is more work, but ultimately,
it looks
you're kind of more in control of the stance.
Yeah, it looks straight.
And either one's great, but it just depends on what kind of car you want.
Well, we're going to have to modify the floor pan to clear the exhaust, right?
Yeah, so that's why I had you come in and do the exhaust before K-Dub got in here, because now he knows where he can build his floor pans to. Yeah. Whereas if like that wasn't sitting in there, I've seen in the past where guys just start building floor pans and they just build right over, you know, they'll just take a flat sheet and go right across.
Yeah.
They'll obviously put their drive shaft tunnel in there, but they'll forget about the exhaust, and then later on you got to come back in and cut all that out and redo it. So by having that in there now, it saves that extra step of going back and redoing work that should have already been done. So that's usually what I have guys do first, right out of the gate when the chassis goes on, is make the exhaust so we can build floor pans around it.
It's pretty crazy to see the drive shaft go over that right there in the, what do you call that bar? I've got to let everybody know I'm a welder. I'm not really
You're talking about what? This right here?
Yeah.
Just a cross member?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's just weird to see the drive shaft go over that versus under it, but maybe that's really
and it may complicate ultimately getting the drive shaft in and out, but I mean, as you lower the car, you know, the lower it gets, everything in the car basically stays at this height, but the car goes down, so essentially it's raising up in the car. And I just think it's a small price to pay to have a badass sitting car. So
no, I think I think it's gonna be sick.
It'll have a pretty significantly sized trans tunnel and stuff like that, but we're going to have center consoles and all that stuff kind of covering it all up. Really make it ergonomic for the driver so everything is right where he needs it to be, and it just makes the driving experience even better. I'm going to use the factory Recaro seats with the netted headrests. Just maintain
You got to
that.
keep those. Got to
Yeah.
keep those.
You got to make.
I remember the old Salines with that net in the Recaros. That's
Yeah.
even as a kid. I don't know why I thought that was so cool. But.
I think it's like there's some cool elements to this car that was of that era, and we just need to maintain those and not take away from it.
Except for the gunny wheels, we want to keep the gunny wheels on.
Well, I mean, there should be a little bit of orange eventually in the paint scheme, I think, going back to that.
Yeah, because we're going to go silver, right? Just like
Yeah,
the pace car.
it'll really look like the pace car did, I think, but all of it's going to be paintwork. So, like in these body lines here, where there used to be a side molding, I believe it had like 2 thin orange pinstripes in it. We're going to put all that back in paint. There won't be an added side molding anymore because we're going to try to clean everything up and keep it all nice and trimmed down. So instead of stacking another 1/2 inch of body molding on it, we'll just paint all that stuff right on here and kind of keep everything tucked in and clean looking.
And Ricky's going to run all the script on the side, right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
As far as we know right now.
As we know right now,
Yeah.
the plan is to still have the horses running and the Indy 500 logo stuff back on there. And I think there's the Indy 500 logo on the gas filler on this side and that side.
What did it say on the hood? I can't remember. It said something on
I
the.
think it said like something turbo.
I think it needs to. I think it needs to say Godzilla. We need to. I'm sure everybody will comment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would be
Maybe
cool if it said Godzilla or something.
Did you think it would have been bad if it would have said like LS?
Yeah, why we should have just put a turbo LS in this. Why are we even messing around with a Godzilla in a Ford?
Right.
Doesn't Joe puts LSs in Fords, right?
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's such a big deal. I mean, some people don't like it. Hey, it's your car. Do
I
whatever you
got
want.
hate mail yesterday about the LS in that green shop truck.
I know. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and I've been seeing Chevys being put in Fords the whole time. I mean, people have been doing it forever. So, yeah, I don't know.
Ricky
whatever.
must be a Ford guy because he's got the Ranchero over there
He
too.
is. So obviously, we'll keep it all Ford for him.
Yeah, there's the Rancheros.
And this particular block platform is a little bit different than Fords of the past, where you had to deal with oil filters that were up in the front. A small block Chevy is way easier to put into a 32 Ford than an actual Ford motor is.
Be careful. Be careful. You're starting to
Trigger somebody?
You're going to trigger. Yeah,
Hey.
you're going to trigger somebody.
Here's the way I look at it. If you want my 2 cents, there's a guy paying for this thing, and we're going to do whatever he wants to it because it's his money. So,
Oh, I would. If this was my car, I'd go this exact same route.
yeah. And I'm sure there's tons of guys that would too. And I'm not objective of this.
I don't know if I would feel like it would need 1,200 horsepower or whatever Ricky wants, but
Oh, we're going to make it so he can dial it up or down. So it should be a fun ride, though.
oh, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
What do you think about showing everybody the new shop? Just doing like a little shop walk.
Yeah, we could do that. Check it out.